Hi, my name is Jacob Barrett.
And my name is Thilo Schaefer.
In case you haven't figured it out by now, we're going to be talking about crafting a political image in the 2008 election.
The United States of America, election 2008, crafting a political image.
Political image is very important. According to very well-renowned political analyst Ben Shapiro, author of Product President, Bad Hair and Botox, and Road to the White House.
Voters rarely look at policy when they pull the lever for a politician. We look instead at the person. We judge politicians the same way we judge other people, based on the image they project. Scientists say we judge whether a person is likable, competent, attractive, trustworthy, and aggressive within less than 1/10 of a second.
For example, we crafted our images to appear very genuine. For politicians, this is even more important.
Now that we have proven political imagery very important, let's look at some of the candidates for the 2008 election.
But before we do that, let's look at some of the men and women who never made it there. Let's go back in time to the Republican and Democratic primaries.
Mitt Romney.
As you probably noticed, Mitt Romney is a very good-looking guy.
Damn! Unfortunately for him, however, this model image worked against him.
Romney was often criticized for being a flip-flopper, and this combined with his model image led his critics to make the claim that he was doing whatever was needed to win the election.
For example, at one point, Romney had undocumented Guatemalan workers cutting his grass, and praised their contributions.
All of a sudden, out of the blue, and to the dismay of these workers, he changed his stance to be strongly against illegal immigrants.
His stance also changed to become strongly against gay rights, abortions, and such other liberal opinions.
Really, he simply didn't appear genuine enough. Voters would have no idea who the real Mitt Romney was.
The other aspect of Romney's image was that he was a Mormon, which many people were very critical.
Members of the Church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints hold beliefs that are very similar to that of other Christian denominations. However, they also believe that after being resurrected, Jesus visited America and preached to the natives there at the time.
This, and the added belief that Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormons, had in polygamy, frightened and angered many Americans, even though the church had excommunicated all polygamists in 1910.
On December 6, 2007, Romney delivered a speech entitled Faith in America, in which he talked about his faith and the push to get him to abandon it, but made it clear that he could not do so, and stressed that America is a nation built on the precept of religious tolerance.
The speech helped Romney mostly end people referring to him as Romney the Mormon.
Enough about this model Mormon. Let's talk about an entertaining evangelical.
Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee is more than just your everyday politician.
On the surface, he's a former Baptist minister turned lieutenant governor, and then soon after governor of Arkansas.
However, unlike most other politicians who prefer to brood in their armchair once they get home, Mike takes time off from his 9-to-5 jabbing his electric bass. He's enjoyed music since he was a young child.
Okay, Mike, play us your song.
Refusing to limit himself to just politics, the former governor is also pretty funny.
Because when I first met you, you were living in a trailer in Arkansas.
My wife would want to tell you it was a manufactured home.
Yes.
The big line was, they said, I'm sorry, I'm running late today. I was on the interstate and got behind the governor's mansion.
Right.
In fact, it's a triple wide. It's actually large enough we could get you and your chin in the whole thing.
Mike Huckabee based his campaign on the assumption that
People are looking for a presidential candidate who reminds them more of the guy they work with rather than the guy that laid them off.
He did an excellent job living up to this image, both positively and negatively. He used jokes in his political ads.
My plan to secure the border? 2 words. Chuck Norris.
despite his honest personality of a down-to-earth and funny man, Huckabee distanced himself from many potential voters and making many controversial comments. Once joking about an assassination attempt on Barack Obama at an NRA meeting, once equating homosexuality to bestiality, and once likening abortion to the Holocaust.
His desire that the Constitution should be changed so as to line up with the Word of God also alienated many other, less religious Americans.
Ha ha ha. Huckabee sure was a funny guy. This next guy we're going to talk about wasn't at all. In fact, he was terrifying.
Rudy Giuliani? Giuliani is what some people refer to as a one-trick pony.
He was mayor of New York City on September 11th, and that's pretty much all there is to him.
Right after 9/11, Giuliani looked really good. He was seen as America's mayor and became Times Person of the Year for 2001.
With all this behind him, Giuliani decided to run for president. However, it soon became apparent he was underqualified, and even the aptitude of his response to September 11th was called into question soon enough.
I mean, think about it. Rudy Giuliani, there's only three things he mentioned in a sentence, a noun and a verb and 9/11. I mean, there's nothing else.
September 11th would be putting our head in the sand if we took September 11 out of the debate. What's the crisis? September 11 is obviously the biggest one. Like September 11, I've had to be responsible for the safety and security of my 8 million New Yorkers, and then who knows how many on September 11. They were my responsibility. That's the way I looked at it on September 11. And I don't know where he was on September 11. They want to come here and kill us. And they did on September 11. September 11 cast somewhat of a different light on the Second Amendment and Second Amendment rights. So since September 11, most of the time when we get on a plane, we talk to each other. I think security is enormously important in the post-September 11 period. I know Hillary Clinton. You know, I got to know her actually probably the best during September 11. Didn't really get to know her until September 11. First of all, what happened on September 11? I mean,
Giuliani's image never really took off, however, and very soon he was out of the Republican race.
Now that we've seen everyone on the wrong, let's look to the left. First up, your average everyday American, who, like all Americans, enjoys $400 haircuts and a $30 million bank account.
John Edwards!
A common phrase about John Edwards is that he looks good on paper.
Edwards is, after all, reasonably qualified. He does fit the classic nice guy image. However, critics found he didn't project enough leadership qualities.
He didn't have a strongman image, and while he did have some boyish charm can't win you a presidency.
Edwards really didn't have much room to create his image. Hillary clearly had the experienced argument, and Obama clearly had a newcomer who will bring hope and change argument. Edwards really only appealed to other upper middle class white men, since he was one of them. But he couldn't win an election with only that voting base.
Edwards tried to champion himself as a hero of the lower classes. He knew he was privileged, but wanted to help those who hadn't been born into such wealth achieve it.
His image of a man with people started to suffer somewhat, however, when it became apparent that he had $400 haircuts and $30 million bank account. A man who lives in a $6 million 100-acre complex can barely be trusted to lower the income gap.
As well, Edward's strange fascination with his hair began to lose him some votes too. He was working way too hard and spending way too much money on his image. A YouTube video soon surfaced of Edwards spending a ridiculous amount of time on his hair. Critics began to ask if perhaps Edwards could be spending his time more wisely.
By the end of his campaign, when it became clear his nice guy image wasn't working, Edwards started going on the attack. Unfortunately, this ultimately hurt him. He began being seen as angry and even mean.
Well, we've talked about family money. Now what about family? Next up, Bill's wife.
Hillary Clinton.